Welcome to the official AFL Fantasy podcast with the Traders.
G'day with the Traders. I'm Roy, I coach Destroy, and I'm here with Warnie.
Coach of the Warnie Dogs.
And Calvin.
Coach of Calvin Nate.
Okay, saddle up, partners, because you are about to listen to the most important podcast so far this year.
Agree. Strap yourselves
They are
in.
important.
We are talking the cash cows because they are the backbone of our teams. They are the most important players because guess what they do, boys? They dictate your structure.
Oh, here we go.
They do what they do. We pick them because they are so important. Why are they so important, Cal?
Because cash generation, and it also allows you to spend up in other areas.
Right.
Yes.
Let's face it, it's a race to the best team you can possibly get.
It is.
And if you are generating cash quicker than all your opponents all around the world, then you are going to end up with that team full of premiums quicker than everyone else.
Now, we'll go back in time, back in history. When we first worked out how to play this game, or started working out how to play
Still
the game,
working out.
Yeah, right. Basically, we worked out that pretty much the rookies were the ones that were making the most money. And that's, you had to nail them to start with. And it was the point of, probably our first ever iteration of this in the early 2000s of our teams.
Yes.
We tried to pick every player we knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
God, I used to smash you guys back then.
Yeah, you're good.
And then it turned into going, right, who are the best of these draftees, the best of these guys that are going to basically play and make the money. And that's where it all came in. Guns and rookies was the thing.
It was the thing.
It was a fad.
Again, when we started this in 2007, that's what we were talking about, the guns and rookie structure of what we're trying to do. And it would be almost like in our on-field 22, it'd be like going, hang on, let me get the numbers. I've got 14 guns and 8 rookies.
Yep.
And that's almost like a structure that we
Yes.
had and went through for quite a while because it was the way to go because we saw that mid-prices didn't always work out. And then the best way, because you just got that massive cash generation from those rookies.
Mid prices, just on that, they've sort of increased in relevancy of late because there's more ways to become a mid pricer than back in the day. They're like the vest and stuff have got those guys back in vogue, but it still all comes back to these rookies.
It does.
The fastest cash generators that are dictating.
Yes.
The structure.
And we're going to talk about the best in each position coming up. But we'll go back to last year and we saw our best cash generator wasn't actually a rookie, it was X.
A mid-pricer. Who would have thought?
He almost doubled his price, basically, how that worked. But if we talk about our cash cows, so just a reminder, last year our basement price was $200K. This year it's $230, so it's moved up a bit. And our number one pick was $300K last year. So that was Harley, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, Harley. And then and now Sam Lawler, $340K. I'm going to place this out there. I'm thinking we're calling a cash cow under $400K now.
I'm happy to go with that.
I'm with that.
Anything in the 300s is still a cash cow.
Yeah.
And that's because of almost who we've got.
Yeah.
That's part of it as well.
Gosh, so that...
Not just up to the number one pick.
So what are we calling it? 400 and under?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's some guys
Even
just
over.
over.
We'll try to make a limit there as we go. But last year, so Matt Roberts was our cash cow of the year.
Yes.
He won the award. He went up $533K from his $245 starting price. So he was almost at basement, a bit more. So he was there. Colby as the number 2 pick last season. He ended up being the second best of our cash cows, up $477K. Now, I will say, because number 3 ended up being Sam Manor, who went up over $400K as well. Those guys did a fair bit of good work at the back end of the year.
Did.
So that's why those figures are up there. But if we do have a look at how our cash cow of the year the votes went last year. So Matt Roberts won it, as I mentioned. But second place was Jeremy Sharp, and he did most of his work up until the buys. So he polled in almost every round. Only 4 rounds between rounds 1 and 12. He didn't poll votes,
Really?
meaning his scoring was so good. And I remember you blokes traded him a bit early.
We did.
And I held him until the buys, and I think that was a bit of a leg up in that thing.
Oh, well done, dog. Great work.
Well, I still beat you. But that's the sort of thing. These cash cows, part of it, and this is what in-season stuff we'll talk about, is when to sell them and that sort of stuff. That's important.
So you obviously, we use the break even as a guide with that.
We do, yes.
But there's a little bit more, isn't there? Because, even Roberts, so people were looking to bring him back, trade him in at the end of the season as a premium.
He had tons. He was tons.
Averaged over 100 in his last 7, I think.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
And some of those other names there up towards the top and the work they did early on, like a Darcy Wilson who was fantastic for St Kilda, and Ollie Dempsey was one that we sort of missed from the get-go.
We did, but then we jumped on late.
Yeah, and it was still worth it. Yeah. Riley polled really well early doors, and it's going to be all over the place with how that works. But what we're doing is trying to work out who are going to be the best ones this year. So let's think, what are the factors that go into us picking a cash cow?
Number one, job security.
And that sits at the top, doesn't it?
I think so. They need to play a heartbeat.
A red dot does nothing for you.
Exactly. Clogs up a spot where someone could be generating cash.
100%. So there's nothing worse, especially when you're playing with your mates. I think about the three of us. When one of you have copped an injury to a basement price rookie and they become a red dot, and then he's unique to you, and you watch the other person in that position just ticking over, and they're getting access to all that cash. It's a nightmare.
So
job security. Need job security.
100%.
Job security is number one. Role probably sits up there closer because that can affect them, and that probably goes hand in hand with their scoring ability because their scoring ability probably goes with their role. We do like looking at what they did as kids to maybe split some hairs possibly with what we're doing, but the role will affect that as well. And I guess what's come back in the last couple of years, because it was there a decade or so ago, was old mate, the sub.
The submarine, Roy!
Give you shudders, Roy.
It does. It makes me feel like vomiting, actually. But what is that doing still around?
I don't know.
Can we read the room?
It's got to go.
The issue is that often our cash cows or our rookies are the ones that are probably going to be starting sub or subbed out. The history would show that all the way through.
Agree.
Yeah, and the role, you've spoken about the role. The role also leaves someone way more in the firing line as a rookie, as a likely sub, which, God, I hate being so good at picking the subs.
I know.
It's a very tiring, thankless job. But, yes, it's usually quite obvious. Remember, 2 people wear the vest.
It takes 2 to vest.
It's usually obvious who it's going to be prior to an injury, obviously.
But it's someone like Sando who wore the vest 5 times last year. So that's, you don't want that, Roy.
You don't.
No.
So, no.
And and then that stunts your cash generation. And obviously you want these on-field scores. That's what the beauty of these guys at such a low price where they're outperforming their price.
It's another contributor to the death of guns and rookies too.
It is.
Because you can't roll with 6 rookies out on your ground with half of them huge vest concerns.
Yes.
Dropping you a 30.
Agree.
All right, well, let's start talking these cash cows. We're going to start in defence and the structure that we're looking at the moment. Who's got a rookie on field there?
Well, I do, but I'm actually starting to get a bit of an urge to remove it.
Okay.
And just have no rookies back there. But at the moment, I have one.
So you've got one. I've got one as well.
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah.
So that means that we're probably rocking with 3 rookies because our 2 bench players there. So we're going to look at ranking these.
Yes.
And
this will go well. Yep. Keep going.
So we're going to take into all these things into account. That job security cow. We're going to talk about the role, Roy, because that's important. Maybe that sub risk it has to come into our thinking.
It does come into it.
And these are players for all of these positions that we're going to talk about and watch, I guess, over these pracky games and the Amy Community Series especially. That's where we're going to get the real eyes on, aren't we?
Yes.
And some of them too, because we get to see them in opening round. And that's another good factor.
So I know through this period, back in the day, I used to get excited by, a mid-pricer or a in-the-mix premium scoring huge that would force their way into my team through these practice matches and stuff. But now this is where I look.
Yeah.
I don't care what the primos are doing. You know what they're going to do.
Exactly.
I need to see role and therefore that job security, etc.
All right, I'm going to start off. My number 1 defender, rookie defender, is going to be Zach Reed. 230K.
Here we go.
Oh, we just lost. Any interest?
Why is he? I think he's got the best job security out of any of these guys.
That's true. Sorry.
Under 400k.
I'll back that up.
So he's not a starter though.
If you can walk and talk and catch, your job security at Essendon is strong.
Oh, settle down.
That's true.
But I think he's going to. He'll be better than what we probably kind of expect. We saw him get injured in the first half of in round 1 last year, and then sat on my bench, I think, for the whole season in the end too, which hurt that. But I think he's capable. Like he hurt himself. He did his hammy in that first game. Came back to the VFL, scored 200s.
I know.
And
I'm bagging him out, but I actually reckon he's good. And the fact that even the other day when I watched a bit of the Bombers, man, I must have been having a boring weekend. They don't mind having a bit of a chip around back there, and it's just enough to get someone like him up to 60.
Twomey told me that he was taking some kick-ins as well and being that sort of guy. Didn't do it in that game, but I think that could be another thing. He'll hopefully be linked up in that.
I was bagging your dog, but I think it's a good pick.
Have you all got him on your bench?
Yes.
Yes, so a good pick for number one, defender rookie.
Dog, what do you think he can score?
60.
He's a 60.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. That's fine.
Yeah, you have to.
All right,
Cal, who are you going?
It wasn't your pick.
No. Next pick I'm going to go with Toby Travalia.
Oh, yeah.
No G.
Sub-sound effect.
No. Listen.
All right.
Winger. All match sim, he's been on the wing.
Yeah.
He's played a couple of games in the VFL last year with a 71 and a 55.
Yep. Okay.
So I think at the Saints, if he gets on a hot wing, we all know wings can be cold as well.
Yeah.
He can rack up there.
Yeah. I think of Wilson last year, who would have averaged about 65.
There you go.
And I guess with their injury issues at the Saints, he's probably even fast-tracked possibly.
Yeah.
So at the moment, he's the one on my ground.
Yeah.
Right? But the biggest question, I think, what score am I happy with for him to be on my ground? It needs to be 65.
Yeah, well, you say that, but I remember last year we would just be going, please get to 50.
Yeah.
It'd get to the point where fourth quarter you're going, please get to 50.
So we're happy with a 50.
Oh,
well, not happy.
Not happy, but slept a little better.
A little better.
Yeah, I remember that. So 65 would be nice. Yes,
so he will score more than Reed.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think he can.
Yeah.
But obviously job security, vest, and all those factors.
Less job security, more chance to be a vest.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Yep.
Submarine would back you up on that. 100%.
The retired submarine.
Reed, the only way Reed is a vest is if he's injured.
Yep.
Whereas Travalia could be a host of different management and you're just a kid, whipping boy, all types of things.
All right.
Right, Roy, your turn.
Well, number 3, I'm going Bo Allen.
You love Bo.
I do love Bo.
You do.
I'm a big Bo fan.
You've been over watching him train.
See, that cost me an arm and a leg to get over there. Anyway, it was worth it because he looked great.
Is he going to score enough?
Well, that's a problem. So he's a bit of a mix between the two. So I don't think he's going to score as well as Travalia, but I think he's less of a sub-risk than Travalia.
Okay.
So I think we want them both, but I'm pretty happy with Bo. I looked at the squads for West Coast, and I think he was the only real, genuine rookie in the squad. Yeah. So that's a submarine warning. But I think he's all right. So he's definitely my number 3.
All right, so then we've got others to watch, and this is someone that I've been talking about, and you guys don't like it, but Jackson Pryor.
Oh, here we go.
He's a rookie price player because he's at 362k, so on the higher end of what we're calling our cash cows, but I just think he's a very good chance to be there and be playing in the Bombers' back line.
I think you're right.
And if he is, then you have to consider, and then he could be someone that you could possibly rely upon to be that D6 type player.
So they've got an early buy, don't they?
They do have an early buy. It is that one. It's with Hawthorn, so it's round 4, so it's not the one where we've got those heavy guys in the round 3-1 in defence.
Because I'm slightly concerned that you've loaded us up with 2 buy players there with your Bombers.
Yeah, but they are rookies. I think you get away with rookies.
Right, okay.
As long as all the other guys are playing, you should be right.
Pryor, I saw him take a couple of intercept marks the other day.
Yep.
He looked very comfortable.
Look, I've been bagging you out about it, Dom.
Yeah.
But I am starting to come around.
Yeah.
23 years old.
He's in my team.
That's right. So
is he in your team?
He's in my team.
And this is the thing. We talk about the price at figure. So that 362, it's priced at 35.
Yeah, you'll get that.
Yes, he'll definitely get that, I think. But last year he had a game for the Lions where he had 19 disposals, 10 marks, which is what you're going to be hoping these defenders are going to do, and scored 83.
Bombers are a high-scoring team.
Yeah, they were number one last year, and the back line would have been up there as one of the reasons for it.
They share it and they chip it.
Yep.
And he was good in the VFL. He had an average of 94 and 900-plus scores back there. So
how did we not know about this guy? How come we had to tell Dog about him? He plays for his own club.
Bunch of peanuts. So he's there. Anyone else that you've got sort of on the radar? Do we go another bomber and talk about Sardell Hawley?
Well, he does need to be spoken about.
He's very popular because we've pretty much had him in an early team, and I think everyone's kind of done that. But defender, 230K. He was a mid-season pickup last year, and can score. Probably hasn't shown, because he's going to be on a wing now by the sounds of it, if he gets a game.
So
and
where is he in the pecking order?
If you're talking sub-risks, he's right up there.
Correct.
As a starting sub, not even being subbed
No.
out. So he may not even make the team in the end. But Twomey, he was pretty keen on him.
Right.
He'll be there. But
well, it's hard to say no for a wing.
He's
at
a winger.
230 as a mature
exactly.
age.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and that's it. So he's 23 years of age. He probably had his best scores off halfback.
Could score in the VFL, couldn't he?
Yeah, he was massive. So he was averaging 98 for the Bombers, but he was but just before he got picked up, he averaged 101. Had some injury issues as well coming back.
He's certainly one to watch. Likewise with Leakey.
Right, Leakey Roy.
So
James Leake.
Had it not
GWS.
been for injury last year, Leakey, he come in. So we've told the story a million times, but he basically got drafted because of his versatility, and that was playing forward and back through the juniors. But then such is that versatility. The Giants had him in the midfield mix in his rookie year, but he got injured, missed a lot of the season, come back in the VFL, absolutely dominated, training with the mids again, flying right under the radar at the moment. If he gets a game, I mean, he's another one with an early bye, but if he gets a game and he's in that midfield mix for the Giants, I'm very confident Leakey's 60-plus a game.
Yep. Some others might pop their heads out. One that I will be keeping an eye on with that sort of that mature type thing is that Tajway Woden's in the mix of these players in that 300K range, 337 he is. And after talking to Drew Jones last week, go back and have a listen to that track watching episode, very good one. I think he could be a chance to be in the mix there. So we probably have a few options that we could have as that D6 that's still in that rookie price range.
Do we start splitting those? Because you've just mentioned a lot of those guys in that price bracket. Does the buy come into it? Do you go him over Pryor, factoring in...
could do.
Not having a buy, maybe.
So Woden played 16 games last year, vested in 10.
Yeah. Is he out of that?
Surely.
Submarine had a heart attack even mentioning it.
He's got to be out of it, doesn't he?
Well, that's the watch, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Because they've got kids coming that we're going to talk about some later who are probably more likely to be vested.
Well, he's got an extra year under him now.
Because once you get a vest, if you don't complain too much or kick up too much of a stink, you become the vest guy.
You do.
It's just easy to throw it at you.
Yep.
And he obviously received it all right.
All right. Let's move into the midfield. This is where we've traditionally had the best cash cows because they're the ones that hopefully have the best opportunity. There's a good reason why they've got the midfield status too, is because they were midfielders as kids and therefore their junior numbers are pretty good as well.
Yeah.
So
the midfield.
What are we looking at structure-wise? I'm 3, and I think it's...
I'm very happy with 3 there at the moment. I think there's plenty.
Yeah. Well, I've got 2, but it does feel like my hand might be forced for 3.
Okay. There's no rookie shortage in the
There's
in the
not.
midfield.
And I'm not sure if it's just because Warnie keeps increasing the price to change the definition.
He does.
But I haven't heard him worried about a rookie shortage at all.
No.
Yeah, we'll decide on that by the end of this, but there's may not be a rookie crisis.
No.
But there's a sub-crisis, I reckon.
There is a sub-crisis.
There's a worry on that.
All right.
So, yeah, that's the thing. And then if you do want to just throw out here Nathan O'Driscoll, 441K, when he popped up on the weekend, does he become the, M6 and he's the third rookie at that very more inflated price than what we're talking about now, though?
Well, what do you reckon?
No.
Roy's reactionary team did.
Of course it did.
Did you?
Of course
So that's
it did.
why I've only got 2 rookies. The Driss. Everyone's been telling me about this guy all pre-season.
Well, we heard
and
about
I've
him prior to Christmas, thanks to Chris.
Yes, and
He was
all I
in.
said is I need to see something first before I can listen
And
to
you
everyone.
saw it.
And I saw it.
Yeah.
So I had to put him in. I forced my hand.
All right, let's start looking at these rankings. Roy, you get to start this time. Where's your number
lucky
one?
me. Well, it's pretty obvious
You
where
pretty
I'm
much
going
told
to go
us
because
this is why.
he's an absolute piglet at junior. I'm talking 50 possessions in one game, piglet, and that's Jagger Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And if his pre-season highlights, like you always say, you can make highlights package of anyone, but his highlights are next level. So he's not just going to sneak into the team. He's actually come in and he's going to add something instantly. So job security is going to be there. Access to the pill is going to be there. If his body holds up, he'll stay out of the vest as well because he's just a genuine gun. So Jagger is my number one pick in the mid.
I'm going to go with
That's
Sam.
fair, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Sam Lawler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, he's been training in the midfield group.
Yes.
He's actually fit compared to what he was in the year that he was
Yeah,
drafted.
so he had a few issues, didn't he,
He did,
last
but
year?
this year he's absolutely flying. The issue with him is, yes, he will play, but he's not going to score like a Jagger or maybe some of the other guys.
He's got less of a sub risk unless he needs a rest, I
Unless
guess.
he needs
That's
a
the
rest.
thing, isn't
That's-
it?
They're going to look
another
after
They're
him.
more likely to need a rest, these kids, aren't they? And they're the prized possessions of the
Yes.
club. They can't run
And
them
the
into the
other,
ground.
the other
But
factor
then,
with
do
him,
they have enough players where he has to play?
well, he plays for Richmond.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a massive tick.
Yes.
Because he's going to get the opportunity, but they're not going to score.
No.
Like some of the others
No.
will.
See, you guys like comfortably talking about having 3 on the ground.
Yeah.
What's the worst you could see him and you wouldn't be surprised? Roll out.
Oh, yeah.
As a scorer,
Yeah,
like
as
a
a
single
score.
score.
45.
That's what I could see.
Yep.
I could see a 45.
Hopefully it's in one of the bye rounds.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I don't know what his ceiling will be.
No.
It's not going to be what Jagger can get.
Yeah, he averaged 90, didn't he, Coates?
Oh, he's a good player.
Yeah, he's a
Don't
good
get
player.
me wrong.
But
It's
he's
just-
also
you're not
a
going to
big
get
man.
much easy
No.
ball, are you, for
No.
them as well? That's a problem.
Yeah. Now, Richmond are going to allow rookies to play.
They will.
That's the thing. But North Melbourne will too. So Finn O'Sullivan, I think he's got to be in our team. He's probably not getting as much love as what he should be, to be honest. That's the thing. So he's on a wing. That's what it's looking like. He may even go behind the ball a little bit because Clarko did mention that on the Your Coach podcast, like talking about that. Like going, they did it with Shoes, they did it with Colby.
Yep.
If they do that, then that's just going to be awesome for his scoring. So he was decent in the Coach Talent League over his 2 years. He averaged 84.
Yeah.
So that's a great number.
If you
there.
average 84 in that, it sounds stupid, but if you average 84 in that, then you get to float across halfback at North.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's like 94.
So I think he's a safe one to have on field as well. So out of those guys there, you could be playing all 3 of those. I think that Finn might score more than Lawler.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That might be the thing. And Jagger is your number 1, Roy.
Yes.
Is there sub risk with him?
Well, there is, but like I said, it's going to be sub through management more than sub through ability because I'm a true believer that what he adds to their midfield mix, it won't be subbed off for tactical purposes.
Yeah, other midfielders to consider. Cal, I'm surprised you didn't mention Sid Draper because you've been all in on your little crow boy.
He has.
Well, he's not real little. He's pretty big.
He's a big
man.
man.
Yeah,
6 games in the sample.
so that's the win about him.
Averaged 86.
Yeah.
Like, that's elite.
Against
real
big
men.
lads.
Yeah. So I'm just not sure where he fits in the Crows 22.
Okay.
Like, he will be in there.
Yeah.
But where will he play?
He's got sub risk.
He does.
That's high on his profile.
Big time.
It is. So like Crouchy, he's just rolling around again here, isn't
I think
he?
he's got one more year
I
left
think
in
he's
him.
back in.
Yeah.
Had a bit of a back injury in the pre-season.
Okay.
So he's been managed a bit. But, yeah, one to definitely watch over the Pracky games to see how it goes. We haven't mentioned Levi Ashcroft.
I know.
Why not?
which
Why is he
sounds
not in the
stupid.
3? Because I think from day one he was probably a starter for us at 328K.
We're talking about Lawler walking into Richmond.
Yeah.
You don't just walk into Brisbane unless
don't.
you're an
Yeah.
Ashcroft, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, the fact you're a father-son recruit
Oh, that's it.
and you're coming in.
The Premiers, though, they're good.
He was on the ground on grand final day. He jumped the fence.
That's true.
Got out
They're
there.
completely stacked.
Yeah.
Where does he fit?
See, I'm not in with this worrying about that.
Aren't you?
He fits right in.
Do you reckon?
He's an upgrade
Okay.
on like probably 20% of the team instantly.
Yeah.
So, yep, they do have a few names and stuff like that, but you look across their team sheet, they're not stacked to the max like some grand final teams that you see. And that sounds a bit disrespectful because they're awesome. However, he is genuinely awesome as well. So I think if it wasn't for preseason niggles, he would be walking straight in and like just dominating.
Yeah,
70,
we had that off-season
70 a game.
shoulder surgery.
So that's the only flag on him.
We do
So
have to mention
for
that
me-
stat, the 145.
Yeah, so he scored 145 for the Lions in the VFL. Like,
Wow.
huge. But
Come
it was
on.
awesome everywhere else. Like, 108 average for Sandringham, and then Vic Metro was an 88 average. But we get to see him opening round as well.
Yeah.
And so there could be a score that sits there that makes our decision for us.
Yes.
Because remembering this is where the cash cows can get off to a great start is because if they play an opening round, they'll have 2 price, and then round 1, they'll have 2 price movements after round 1.
It could be two, if he's fit, it could be 2 thumpers.
Other names probably worth considering, worth talking about. Melbourne boys. You've got Harvey Langford, who I like a lot, and it sounds like he's very close there. He averaged 107 for Sandringham, so did that. Probably a mid-forward sort of role for him because that's a pretty good midfield, as we know, for the Ds. But he'd be there. And then Xavier Lindsay's the other one. He's had a bit more of an interrupted pre-season, but... keep an eye on him as well. So there's a couple of guys there that from the Ds that are worth looking at. Langford could, I think he's on my bench at the moment. I think he could be there.
Yeah.
And as you've probably
he'd
noticed,
be a sub-risk, wouldn't he?
Definitely. And as you've probably noticed with a lot of these guys, they're all over 300K.
Yeah.
Like, so when we don't have these basement players, there are a couple worth monitoring as basement players, I guess. Tom Gross.
Yes.
Oh, Grossi.
Yeah, Roy, 230K. You saw him on the track. A little flag. Harry Roaston,
Yes.
for GWS, played last year, but still is basement price. Just keep an eye on him because they've got some players suspended to start the season too.
Oh, I
as
forgot
we know.
about them.
So, but then
Might
that
be
could be
spots there, but then
that
they
could
lose
be
them quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be the flag. You see him do something in opening round, and that's how that
true.
works. But there will be a few, and that's where these will most likely all pop up through the season too. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Urquhart for North Melbourne gets a game at some point.
Yes.
He's in there. Clay Hall is still in the 200s.
Yeah.
With
That's one I've been looking at closely, but not wanting to have too many of them either.
yeah, and Smiley Cow.
Yep, he'll
guy.
come in at some point.
Like, he had a bit of a hammy or whatever, but
He did.
because Richmond are going to need to be playing players.
Yep.
Let alone
How is he tracking? Will he?
I think he's a chance, but unlikely for round 1.
Right.
So,
Let's look at those rucks now. Now, we're
Oh!
not Cow.
here we go.
You threw out there that you might start with Harry Boyd as your R1.
When did I do that? No, when did I do that?
That embarrassing
No,
team reveal?
at the time it was a play. And
Okay.
I just wanted to toy and I wanted to throw it out there so people can see what it looked like.
So this has been something that
Looked very good
has
everywhere
worked at
else on
some
your
other
ground.
points where you could have gone that really cheap player, but I don't think this is the year for it.
if Rowan Marshall was not playing,
Oh, yeah.
right, and he was missing because he had a
Which it sounded like.
stress fracture of the pelvis, then everyone
8
would be
weeks.
doing this.
Would they?
Yes.
Yeah, I would be.
Right, this guy is a ruck pig.
Yeah, he would have been easily, if he was number 1 ruck, he would have been easily the best and safest scoring rookie out of all of them.
So is he still a chance to play?
Yes.
With Rowan?
Yes,
So
he
you're
is.
big on this, Cow.
Yes, I am.
Right.
Yep.
So
I'm
he's,
not as big.
he's definitely then on the pine.
Yes, he's on your
The
pine.
ruck on the pine.
He's on your pine. And will make you bulk.
Well, if
coin.
he's playing, you've got him there and he's making you coin. What if he's not? He's sort of the next best, though, at the basement price, isn't he, to be selecting?
So he'd be a sub-risk playing alongside Rowan, wouldn't he?
Yes.
But he'd be safest ever not to get a vest if Rowan wasn't playing.
27 years old, averaged
score.
117 in the sample.
Said that a bit.
Did you see the photo of him
Yes.
the other day, Roy? Hubba, hubba.
Hubba's right.
He's big, man.
How was his skin
Oh.
holding that thing in?
Wow.
Huge.
Anyway,
was massive.
So he can go on your point.
Did you see it, dog?
Yes.
His gun show.
For his birthday.
Holy.
Birthday gun
Happy
show.
birthday. Now,
Wow.
It's your birthday.
Screenshotted that bad boy.
230k he's, and that's what you usually spend for your bench. Your R3 should be that. There's other options there, and we've talked about some like the best fixtures, because if you are going a red dot, then St Kilda's good, so that's where Boyd could be all right if he's not playing to help you with the loopholing. But West Coast are right up there as well, so do you go back to the well with Harry Barnett there? He might be there. But Archer Reid, he has a ruck forward status, and he could be a chance.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about too many of these guys, but the one, and he does break the rules of this under 400k, but only by $2,000, is Liam Reedy.
Yeah.
Now, can you spend that extra cash, which is, what is it, 172k over basement price, to get some cash generation out of Liam Reedy? All right, Sean Darcy, out until round 3 to 5 is a conservative.
Let's just say round 5 or 6.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Yep.
Well, do you know what Kano called it? Round 10.
Yep. Wouldn't
Kane would be
surprise
right.
me.
No.
Would not surprise me.
So anyway, can you spend that much money on your bench to get some cash generation from Reedy if he's playing, of course? Like, they played him and Jackson together in the Indigenous All-Stars game.
They did.
He scored 79, but you would say the competition probably wasn't great in the ruck line there for that.
It's still pretty impressive.
It is.
Yep. So the thing is, can he be an option? I did some maths on that. Basically, if he goes 65 across that, 5 weeks that Darcy isn't there, then he goes up 150k. So if you're putting that on, you're then banking well over 300 at that point to go, yep, there's an upgrade that you're doing with that one.
So could you not, between him and Boydie, have that?
Oh, whoa, and actually do that.
Could he start at R2?
Rowan Marshall's playing. I don't think we can go Boyd.
So can we go Reedy?
You could.
No one else is putting their hand up at R2.
But
at
enough
the moment.
people are already calling out that they should just play Jackson.
I know, but they're stubborn with that. They don't want Jackson.
They don't want him there.
Even the hit-outs to advantage, I saw a stat early. Reedy had obviously taken a lot more contests, but Jackson's hit-outs to advantage were better than Reedy.
And even in the first quarter of that game, Jackson's starting on the ball as a midfielder.
Well, there you go.
So
I don't think they want Jackson playing sole ruck, obviously.
I agree.
So Reedy will play. It's just, is Reedy too much of a sub-risk, because they could, at a point in the game, go, look, we need to hit the scoreboard, get some run.
Jacko
You're off.
in.
Jacko, you have to
Take the reins.
So that would be another risk with Reedy.
I also think if you've got Reedy on field, that's a 50. He'll score 50s. He's not scoring 79 like he did the other night.
He's got he will surely hit 60.
I don't think he can.
How?
Because he didn't last year. He had 2 games last year in the ruck.
Yeah, is he not going to get any better?
No, he'll get a little bit better. 55 then.
Oh, it's got to be 60. If you're number one ruck, surely Jacko is they just see him as a chop out.
They
guy.
do.
So that's got to be, if he's getting 80% of the ruck, Reedy, he's hitting 60.
So you...
As safer than 89% of the other rookies.
Are you toying with the idea, Roy?
No.
Okay, right. Of having Reedy on field.
It needs to be spoken about.
It does need to be spoken, because people are doing it. People are talking about it.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what I needed to do too.
I just think that there's too many flags on old mate Reedy.
Yeah.
How long he's there for, the chop out, the vest, all that sort of stuff.
Yes. It's pretty
400k.
cheap, though.
It is, but it's a lonely little 400k on your field.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, go Boyd.
Okay, so just then going back to that, let's forget that it's on field.
Okay.
What can you do that as your bench
So him on the bench instead of
Boyd? Because I think Cow's probably given us a fair bit of false hope that Boyd is going to be there. I don't think he will be there.
Okay.
Round 1.
Okay.
Let's pretend he's not there.
Well, there were good coaches last year and bad coaches that did it, but there were some good coaches last year that started X on the Pine.
On the Pine, they did.
I couldn't
X
do
was-
that. That was a lot more though.
Yeah, but it was in a similar...
Almost 200k more.
So the question is, can you put 400k in R3?
There is so much value that this year that if you're ever going to be able to afford to do that.
Agree.
It is this year.
Yep. And as Dog said, by round 5, if he's there that long, he's going to be worth $550K.
It's a fair leg up on a red dot. Now,
Yes.
you've got to factor in that the red dot people are getting 2 shots at a captain, but Reedy's cash generation from there should serve you well.
We will get red dots early on through the buys anyway.
Yes.
So as long as he can get you to round 5, it's a play.
Yes, Dog. If I had the money and I was still happy with the rest of my team,
So I don't think
could
money's
do
a
that.
massive issue for us at the moment.
No.
I know I've probably had a lot of iterations where I've had that 200K even left over.
Well, you could do that then.
Yep.
That is a play.
Because
You don't want a red dot.
He's not... Big Das isn't coming back
No.
before round 5.
No.
No chance.
There's
So
just no way.
You're making probably 100 at a minimum.
And that would be worth it, wouldn't it?
And then you're able to cash that down to, yeah.
You'd make
You-
250K on a
250K
simple downgrade.
easily.
Yep.
And then that just helps you. Helps you.
It
Fix
does.
up whatever.
The problem is, if Boyd doesn't play round 1, I think he's there to play. I think he'll be in very early.
Yep.
So I would hate to be someone that paid up for Reedy. Darcy's coming back soon, and everyone who started with Boyd is all of a sudden getting
So if
some
we didn't play
effort cashed
round 1
in.
though, Boyd, you're banking some good coin there after a Reedy game.
That's it.
Or 2.
Just straight down to him and off you go.
That's fair.
As long as you didn't have other things to do, which you cannot make these plans in AFL Fantasy. We know that. All right, forward line now. And this is where I think we've got a lot of options.
Oh, so many.
But maybe not a lot of answers.
No.
Is that fair to say, do you think?
Definitely.
Well, structure-wise, where are you currently sitting with this? How many
Okay.
rookies? Started you revealed your team.
I did.
And it didn't actually have a
It
rookie
didn't.
on field.
No,
You had
and I don't
Silvani
mind
as
it.
F6.
Yeah. So I started. Oh, sorry. I had my team set then prior to the West Coast boys really strengthening their argument for best 22. So
Yep.
I had the 2 West Coast boys on the pine
Yep.
at that stage. And I was happy with that 6, and I still think it is a good 6, to be honest, despite some people questioning it. And I don't really understand how
You
they
don't
could
like
have,
being
but-
questioned, though, do you?
I do, if it's a good question. I'm yet to see one, though. So the West Coast boys are now rounding out my forward line.
Whoa, so you've done a big pivot.
So it's a big
No
pivot.
Silvani then?
So no Silvani, just
Okay.
for the extra cash. But I still don't mind the idea of Silvani. But at the moment, it's those 2. They're a greater vest risk.
Yes.
But at the moment, I have 2 rookies on field in my forward line.
Okay.
right,
One for me at the moment.
Yeah, well, let's start with that ranking then, Cow, and you get
Yeah.
to start with that. Who is that rookie on field for you?
I'm taking Hewitt.
Right,
Yeah,
Elijah
I
Hewitt.
like it.
Yeah. So 14 games in his debut year, missed all last season.
Yes.
So he's a good player. He's been playing in the midfield,
Yeah.
in
And
the
body's
A-team,
fine,
in the match
isn't
sim.
it? Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Providing he can stay fit,
Yes.
I think he needs to be and can be on our ground.
Yeah.
The issue is he plays for West Coast, the worst scoring team last year in fantasy.
Yeah, what do you need from him? Price at 32.
Well, that's exactly right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's a
60 is
60
very
guy.
achievable, especially if
He's
he
a
does
60
get some
guy.
midfield time, which is
Can he get
what he's
60?
been training with.
He can, because he's a very good player. Now, the flag with him is starting him on the ground. He is someone that the submarine is concerned about.
Yeah.
They don't want to put a year of rehab into him and then have him tracking beautifully in the preseason only to overdo it and cost him another season. So he does have some vest concerns, I reckon.
Agree.
Number 2 on the list, I'm going to say Jack Hutchinson. So another Eagle there. And Roy, you are filling it out with the Eagles. You do like that. I think the thing about him, he's 385, so he's very much on that really high end of our cash cow prices. But
Yeah.
he was a mid-season draftee,
Yeah.
came in, didn't average a heap, 41. But the thing is, what this preseason's shown us, he's gone up on the wing and even going into the guts
Yeah.
during match sim.
He
stuff.
said it. Did you hear him say it?
Yeah, well, I saw it with my own eyes. That's
Yes.
that's what changed the whole structure of my team. When I sat there in the grandstand, fully expecting him to be on a wing, and he's in the middle,
Yep.
I was like, I'm going to have to restructure.
So if we go back to round 24 last year, played against the Cats in that schmozzle of a game,
Yes.
really. That was where we all got on Jeremy Cameron for his
That's
big,
right.
and he was
Yes.
dominating. But he went in the guts, had 37% of centre bounces in that.
Yeah.
And he scored 73, but,
Yes.
24 disposals. So there's signs there.
Yeah.
That 385, like you are, if you're being priced under 40 and playing on a wing and maybe getting some time in the middle, then that's enough.
I think so.
Jake Waterman referenced that game as well and said what an impact he had and how he's ready to just do that.
So you could, and you've got both of those. Cow, you don't. Would you consider getting Hutchinson in as well?
I've got one on the bench, one on the field.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
who would you be choosing? You've chosen Hewitt.
Yeah, I'd go Hewitt at the moment.
Right.
But
That's
early
a lot of going on your
days,
bench,
Yes.
right? That can change.
Someone may question that.
Yeah, destroy. Who are you calling your number 3 forward?
Well, I think Dan Curtin is set up for success. So
I think
this
so.
is a job security type one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I think the job security will be there now. So last year we saw, one of those initiations where
whatever it is,
are they in, they're out, are they playing there or there? Mm-hmm. And I think because he's got through that process, as ridiculous as it seemed from afar, to be honest.
Yep.
I think he's going to be better for it, and I think he's ready to go now. His role still doesn't look perfect. I think there'll be more time spent forward than in the midfield, which isn't ideal. But, like I said, I think he's in there now, and I think he's turned enough heads over the preseason. Lairdy even said that no one at the club can tackle him. Now, come on. If he's playing like a bull out there, he's got to be in that best 22.
Yep.
I guess next stage of his initiation, he'll probably cop a few vests, so the submarine would be all over that. However, he's my number 3, and I'm pretty comfortable with it at the moment.
So you got 7 games last year, 4 in the vest.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's gone.
All right.
Hopefully.
There are 3 there. Let's have a look at some of the other names that are floating. I guess Connor Stone has to be mentioned. So GWS. So the tip is that he might be Harry Perriman's replacement, which is good because Perryman had like a couple of years of being in the mid-80s.
Yeah,
he
was
been
good.
70-odd plus for the last 6 seasons. So I think that would be, an ideal scenario. But he's a 22-year-old and he's basement price.
Yeah.
So he's a 230K forward. So we get a look in opening round, see if it's real. Again, the Giants have those few players out.
They do.
What are your thoughts at the moment, Roy?
Well, I'm really big on him, and I have been for a number of weeks. So I'm glad you brought him up next because I was splitting hairs between Curtin and Stone.
Especially too, we probably do want some basement price players when we're spending $300K everywhere
We do.
on every rookie position.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And ironically, the forward line actually allows us to do this. It's the bargain walk-up picks in the forward line that are allowing us to even shop some of these more expensive rookies. But I'm huge on Stone. I love his role.
Yep.
And I think he's one that we will, after round 1, go, I'm actually comfortable putting him on my ground.
Yeah.
Well, here you go, because it's 150K less than Jack Hutchinson. So that's a lot.
It is. I think we'll want both.
Yeah, we can have,
Yeah.
How many different ways have you said Jack Hutchinson?
Is it Jack Hutchinson?
Inson. Yep.
Inson?
I think you've put a G in there.
Yeah.
You've called him Hutchins.
Jacko and I just go by Jacko normally. So
Hutchie.
And you combine how many times I've stuffed it up with how many times you haven't.
What did Roy
He's starting
say?
to question his own name.
Another 230K player, and this could be a winger, and we saw him, the blonde bombshell on the wing for the Bulldogs. That's Sam Davidson. So he's mature age, 23-year-old. He was drafted last year. Average 69 the VFL for Richmond, so not going to be huge. Probably spent a fair bit of time forward doing that, but if he's on that wing, he's tall, and he can run. He was just covering plenty of ground in that. So he might be one to watch and one that might snag. Yeah. If he's named round 1, I think we can do much worse than having that as a 230K guy on the bench.
The forwards are leaking throughout our ground.
They are.
They're starting to knock on the door of a midfield bench spot.
Yep.
They're saying they're eyeing off utility.
I think utility is almost a lock the way that we're looking at the moment.
Same.
Because we also have, and this is not this discussion, but there's also value elsewhere in the forward line.
There
like
is.
the mid-price value that you might be looking at, where you might be forced to fill it out with just one rookie on field.
I think I try not to question the fantasy gods because they come back and they bite you. But I think they realised they went over the top with the forward line last year.
Yeah.
How bad they made that. And I think they're, dare I say it, borderline overcompensating because the forward line is inundated with options and fun picks at the moment. Yep, I said it. Fun picks. Wow.
Got to mention Joe Berry while we're here. He's just under 300k at 298. They're saying at Alberton that he's going to play round one.
They are. So there's another one.
Another one that's
Good player.
And I'm just going to reel off a few names.
Yeah.
All right. Zane Dersma
Yes.
is at 373. Now, he played in the B team in that intra-club game and through the midfield, but if he's going to get more mid-clock this year, you've got to be looking at that.
Yep.
Reef McInnes, my boy Reef. Sounds like he's going into the back line.
It does.
And he'll probably be there. Bit of a noble replacement, according to Drewy Jones.
This is a good pick. This
320.
is a really good pick.
Yeah.
And
324K.
what's his ownership at the moment would probably be like 3%.
It would be, it's not going to be much.
And I reckon after opening round, it could skyrocket.
Reef is 1.09%.
Yeah, keep an eye on that one, dog, for sure.
22 years of age.
Yeah.
I'll
Ticks
throw
all the
out
boxes.
Tyrell Dewar for the Eagles.
Oh,
He's at 323k. Did play last year. Cody Angove is another one for GW West that you just got to keep an eye on, I think, because he may get a debut at the start of the... Not a debut, sorry, but... debut for him, sorry, at the start of the season. Ashton Moyer, Roy, with a 230k.
Yeah.
Like, he's a small forward, but could he get a gig? Because he is basement.
Talk has dried up. I reckon maybe emergency starting vest type thing.
Right. So, have him on the watch list. Like all these
he definitely
players,
deserves to be watched.
hit that little star.
I hope he does play.
I don't know how you guys use your star on the favourite star on the AFL Fantasy website and app.
Yes.
I basically use that exclusively for the rookies.
Do you?
Yeah.
Nice way
Don't
to
use
use
it for others.
Well done, dog.
Because I know the rest of them, or they're all locked into my team.
No, it's a good idea.
So it's just a good way to look at them because you can filter, you can have a look, easy to pop their names out. So hopefully you've done that.
Did you do that when you wrote that amazing article?
You should see that coming out this week. This podcast comes out before that article. It is 2,500 words.
Oh, put me to sleep.
Well,
I might print that and keep it.
Dayan, he wasn't happy that it was that long.
No, they don't like it long.
But at least he said to me,
Dayan hates words.
He goes, at least it's not Calvin writing that.
He did not. He didn't say that.
Imagine how much time he'd have to spend.
Did he say that?
They would have needed the full editorial team on that.
Hey,
Call them in.
Is that what
It's my day off. No, cows pump 250. 2.5.
Hang on.
Cows done 2.5.
Did he really
I'll be
say
right
that?
there. I'll be right there.
This is workplace bullying.
Get all the troops in.
Workplace bullying.
Got a question for the traders? Tweet the boys at AFL Fantasy or head to facebook.com/AFL Fantasy official.
Tweet. I sent this out on Twitter to get some responses. And
Good idea.
This is questions that we got about our rookies, really. And this is where we are at. We'll start with John. What's the definition criteria of a cash cow this season compared to previous seasons?
Well, you just did it.
You've done it.
Well, we did that, but
You changed it.
well,
And we do it my way.
but I think the definition is that far out we are spending up on them.
Yeah.
Our best options aren't basement price. Well, they probably not.
There's a
never
couple
always are.
there, but yeah.
A couple, but the majority,
Yeah.
and that is purely the majority,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be a basement price on field for us, would there?
No, I don't think so.
No.
There's probably not room.
There's probably not anyone under 300k on field, just
No.
about.
No. there's
That's
not.
pretty crazy. So that would be a bit of the definition of that. Also, I guess to the point of that being like the definition is that it is evolving what we are calling a cash cow.
Yeah.
But that's it. We've got the rookies who are our cash cows. But this year we've got people like my mate Jack Hutchie, right? And Hewitt and Zach Reed, guys who have played before.
Yeah.
That are popping their heads
Yeah.
in under price.
The best way, and that's probably, if we were saying something, draftees are not necessarily the best guys to be using as cash cows. Yet we've got plenty of them there.
We do.
It's getting those guys that might have not had the opportunity in their first year on the list or are discounted based on those vests, and now they're going to rid themselves of the vest. Like, that's where that's evolved, as you mentioned before, Roy.
Yes.
Like a curtain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Noodles, is Levi Ashcroft still a rookie we should target? Will he be playing round one? Is he worth the price?
See, I'm going to pretend he had a uninterrupted preseason. I would be yes. Like, straight into the team. I don't care about any thought of, isn't he best 22? He is easily best 22. And yes, he would have an impact through pinch hitting in the midfield, probably playing a bit of half forward, obviously. But it's only that uninterrupted preseason that has me wary at all. Yeah. Otherwise, yes, I would be paying up.
Because Cut Above is saying, is it crazy to be fading him? Not sure how much opportunity he'll get in the team.
Yeah.
Guess at the end of the day, we get to see opening round.
We do.
Yeah.
What number as a figure, what do you need to see? It could be a number, it could be a role, it could be not being vested either way.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He'd force your hand at a comfortable 70.
Yeah, I'd say 60.
Yeah.
I'd take that.
It's more about watching him and going, does he look like he will stay in that team? Is he going to not even get the rest vest? They do have the round, round 3 bye. So you'd play 3 games.
Yeah.
Then they get a week off.
But I'm fading at the moment, but I'm still bullish on him being a Jet.
Yep.
Anthony, Joe Berry or Sam Davidson as F8. So you're spending an extra $68K to have Berry over Sam Davidson.
Davidson's on a wing.
Yeah.
Berry's a small forward.
Yeah.
I'm taking the winger.
Yeah, I am at the moment as well.
Berry's
very
probably got
comfortable with
more
that.
job security.
Yeah, he does.
You would say.
Yeah.
Todd, more mid prices for slower cash generation or more rookies on field for faster? It's a tough decision, but which do you guys rate higher?
There's some mid prices this year that basically have zero risk of a sub vest or
and
anything
that's
like
coming
that.
Into it, yeah.
So I'm leaning towards pushing the boundaries with those safer mid price, established proper players that are just happen to be cheap this year.
Could some of those guys, in all honesty, though, like those mid prices, still make just as much cash?
I think so.
As well.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
We saw it last year, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do earn more. Like we saw that consistently, and we have seen that consistently over the years.
Yeah.
Like X is that was beast. They went at 115.
Yeah. We're not going to get that from anyone, surely. But still.
But it's the sleep better at night factor.
It is, yeah. So it is that balance. Because there is so many rookies, and we've talked about them all. All those guys that we talked about there, they're going to be playing.
I think so.
So it is a fine line between picking too many of them and not enough for that fast cash generation.
Yep.
Tough one. Not sure where to go with that.
Albert's got this one. What defender rookies are actually fieldable? Should Mills at D5 be the play given the lack of defender rookies? Well, I've actually got Perryman there. They're exactly the same price. Did you know that?
Yes.
Perryman and Mills. But yeah, I think that is the play.
Same.
The ideal sort of play, if you can get away with it. Unless, of course, like we find out, and this is not in this rookie conversation, but Sam DeConning.
Yeah.
If he's the number one ruck, I would have him in my team, and he could be 5 or 6.
See, I want him at 6.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
That'd
be nice.
That's where I would love to be.
Yep.
At this point. And I think we'll get there.
So
He's gonna ruck,
who are you happy on field, Cal? You said Toby Travalia,
Well, yeah.
but you're not happy.
I'm not happy. No.
Jackson Pryor, I'd like, but not happy.
Yep.
See,
You can't have Reed. Leaky, if he's going to be running through.
yeah, but all
But I
these
think
guys
there's so much
are
risk.
Yeah, I know.
sub risks,
Yeah.
all of them. So that's where if you had a number one ruck rolling in your D6,
Exactly. Yep.
The other side of defenders, though, is that how many of the big dogs do you really want?
At the top end of it. Yeah.
Like even just we want some value,
Yeah,
but there's not a lot of guys there that are
I know.
hands are up high.
It's a tough one because the person with his hand up the highest is also the most expensive.
Yes.
Can you do that? That is a make or break move just in your starting squad, whether you go the Shees.
Oh, and he was awesome the other day.
He was.
He was awesome.
Because he is.
Yes, he's very good.
Right, next one comes from Ben. Is one mid-rookie on field not enough because you can easily get more value with O'Driscoll, Hollins, Peatling? I think you need 2 at a minimum. If you are going O'Driscoll, I think ideally you want him at your 6, M6. What about, and this is not in this conversation, but Hollands and Peatling, I've only got one there, and it's Peatling.
Right. I've got them both.
You got them both?
Yeah.
Just Hollands at the moment.
Just Hollands. So you're going Hollands over Peatling?
At the moment. I haven't touched my team for a while, dog.
I know what he's looking like. I know what he's been fiddling around with, because there's a lot of guys in that mid-price that you are looking at going, well, they are 20 points underpriced.
Yes, there's a lot of them.
They are not a risk of a vest. I see why he's
and they score
edging
more
it down.
points than what those rookies
They
will
do.
score.
Is their cash generation as fast? No. But there's a lot of positives to going that way. And it feels like, because of how many rookies we've mentioned, that one on the ground isn't enough. But, man, oh man, if you had picked the right one on the ground and you had the next 2 best just sitting there on the pine, I think you could get away with it.
Interesting. Chris, Warnie, let's hear you salivate uncontrollably over Jackson Pryor. Oh, he called him Jason Pryor. Show some respect on his name. No, I talked about him.
You did, dog.
He's an option.
Yeah, and look...
And Roy and Cow are coming around.
We're warming to the idea.
I'm warming.
Coming around to that.
I have sat him there, dog. I have sat him in my team
sicko!
to make sure I
Let
can
him
afford
train.
it.
Let him train.
Yeah.
Looks all right
he
there.
He can train.
Well, that's the rookies. Make sure you check out the article on afl.com.au this week. I'll tweet it out a few times, Cow, so I can tag you in it.
Oh, good.
Let
Thank
you. Read
you.
that. 2,500 words. Actually, I wonder what that gets edited to.
Yeah, 1,000.
Anyway.
You have clearly been told to not write that many.
Yeah.
How do you not do it? You've got to cover everything. I'm here for the people. You might call yourself the people prince. I'm the people's king. I get it all out there so everyone's got all the information they need. You learned some things reading that article today.
Oh, yeah, a couple of things.
They asked for an article and you gave them a book.
Yeah.
Did you not read the brief?
He thinks he gets like $2 a word.
Oh, don't I?
You would.
Thanks for tuning in. And yes, we'll have plenty more podcasts coming through. Thanks, Twomey, for his fine words there on some of those draftees and how our keeper leagues will be going. We've got to lock in our keepers this week, boys.
Need to do that.
So
Yes,
do that.
we do.
Head to fantasy.afl.com.au or download the app to get going for this year. And we'll see you next time. Catch ya.